Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of TradesTalk. Today I'm doing a solo podcast. Like I said, I will be doing these once a week or so, as much as possible. Obviously, things get in the way sometimes, but I want to give you guys an update on what's going on at K&D on a weekly and just keep in touch. So, look, we are going through some major reorganization changes. It's been actually a lot of fun. We've flattened our organization up a little bit. We've given people more responsibility. We're trying to get away from this idea of managing and embrace this idea of leadership and trust. Last week, I talked a lot about leadership, and part of leadership is having trust in people. I was reminded this week by one of our leaders, Jeremy, just how important trust is and just how important this idea of trusting your team is. And as leaders, or should I say, a CEO of companies or owners of companies, sometimes we have this feeling like, look, it's my ass on the line. If payroll's not made, I'm the one that's going to have to, file for bankruptcy. It's my assets on the line, literally, personally guaranteeing the line of credit, whatever it is. And we sometimes will develop this lack of trust with our team for those reasons. And while they're valid, right? You have validity in this idea that you should be the last look on the final proposal. You should make sure the pricing's perfect. You should be double checking how efficient the crews are being in the field. At some point in your journey of building a company, you have to trust people to do what they were hired to do, to give them the autonomy and the ability and the clarity to go out and win for you. Now, clarity is incredibly important when it comes to trust, because if you are a leader and you're not providing clear direction or vision for your team, then it's going to be really hard for them to know where to go or how to win for you. So that's really important. So, that's kind of what I want to talk about is trust today. And first off, talking about trusting your team. Trusting your team to do their job. Trusting your team to do what they're going to say they are going to do, to follow through, but also trusting your team to have your back. And we sometimes don't give our team the opportunity to show their trust, to earn our trust, because we put in so many double checks and redundancies around our KPIs and our data reporting that our team doesn't have that ability to earn our trust. And I'm not saying we should just blindly trust our team and everything's going to be fine, but when you hire the best people and you truly have a bunch of A players, like at some point, you've got to trust them. You've got to be able to step back from the day to day or step back from whatever you're over managing and let them win for you. So how I was reminded of this in two ways this week. First off was, Jeremy and I were having a conversation about trust, and I've had a hard time trusting people as of late, just simply because we had a difficult quarter one. So whenever the financials aren't as good as I want them to be or as on goal as we want them to be, as a leader, I dig in a little harder. That's part of my job, right? But sometimes that could lead to maybe a showing of mistrust when it's not mistrust, but it could lead to that direction. And so much of what we do as leaders is watched under a magnifying glass. And so that was just such a revelation for me. And I was so appreciative to Jer for sharing that and being open and having that ability for us to have that conversation. But secondly, like, I got really sick this week. Like, I'm still pretty sick today. I mean, my voice is a little bit better, but I could not get out of bed yesterday. And that was like our big leadership meeting day. We have all of our meetings. I got all this stuff scheduled, and I had to take a sick day, which honestly, I don't remember the last time I called in sick and canceled all my meetings. It's just not in my blood, but that's how sick I was. And it forced me to trust my team. It forced me to not be at the leadership meeting. And guess what? They asked, should we reschedule? No, definitely not. Do not reschedule a leadership meeting. Like, you guys got this. And I would go as far to say that that meeting was probably one of the better ones they've had because I wasn't there. And sometimes when you aren't able to be there is when your team comes through the most for you. So I just want to thank you to my team for stepping up this week and just showing me that there is so much trust within our organization. The next thing I want to share on trust is generational transitions. There's a lot of companies out there transitioning from the first to the second generation or the second to the third. And I end up coming across a lot of these just because that is my story. I took over from my parents. And I talked to a lot of second or third generation, let's just call them next generation executives who have the CEO title, the president title, the GM title. But they're frustrated because their mom or dad, typically it's a dad, won't let them make the decisions they need to make to take the business to the next level. One of the biggest decisions that you make is what business management software to go with. It's going to run your business. And we see a lot of next generation executives stalling out on the decision-making process because the founder or the older generation is holding on too tight, isn't letting them make that decision. Maybe isn't letting them terminate a poor performing employee. Maybe isn't letting them hire that A player they know is going to take the business to the next level. Whatever those decisions are, and there's so many important decisions that require a high level of trust. If you are listening to this and you are a founder or the first, second generation, you're passing it on to the next, at some point, you've got to have that trust. You've got to have the trust that you trained your son or daughter or that next generation person to take over. You've given them the role, you've given them the title, and you got to let them fail. You have to let them fail because how else will they show you that they're capable if it's not from bouncing back from a failure? Now, when things go well and we hit home runs, most of the time, we don't learn a lot from those. Now, we can, but honestly, I would say from a learning perspective, winning is almost the worst thing that can happen. It creates arrogance. It creates overconfidence. It creates this idea that it's always going to be like that. Well, that failure that happened, that failure can lead to lessons. It can lead to scars that are actually good. And it could lead to this idea of, I am not ever going to let that happen again. So when you're constantly overshadowing the next generation executive, the next generation CEO, you're never going to let them fail or fail on their own. And when you finally do trust them and you give them the reins and you let them run, amazing things can happen. Obviously, I can talk about my story in detail and depth, and I've talked about it before. I will in the future. But one person I want to talk about real quick is a good friend of mine who runs a concrete company here in Santa Cruz, California, Dylan Whitlow. And Dylan has no business running a business, just like me. We have no certifications. We didn't get our MBA. We didn't go to college to become a business major or anything like that. We grew up in the trenches. Dylan knows concrete. Dylan knows hard work. Dylan knows how to trust people. And when Dylan took over for his dad, going 3-4 years now, the company was strong, but it was a small, 3-4 trucks. And today, they've got 8, sometimes 10 crews going out. They're conquering a massive geographic area. I would go as far as to say today, Dylan Whitlow and Whitlow Concrete is the concrete company of choice in Santa Cruz, California. Like, they are crushing it. And Dylan is learning every day. He's failing. He's learning. He's winning because his dad trusts him. His dad is letting him run. His dad is letting him hire people and let go of people, build out core values, create a strategy, create new marketing and branding materials, and honestly, change the entire company from the bottom up. Rebuild the foundation on a next generation methodology and a mindset that Dylan brings to the table. And it's amazing to watch this company grow. And today they're one of our leading subcontractors in concrete for K&D. They do a ton of work with us. And, Dylan's just, he's a great friend of mine, and it's amazing to see his success story. But as many success stories there's so many more of that next generation leader not being able to take over because they don't have trust. So that's another area, guys, I want to hit on is trust your team, trust your family, trust the next generation. The next is trust your partners. Trust your vendors. Ask them for help. Ask them for advice. When you're working with an Aspire software and you're not sure how you should be setting up a service or programming a route, reach out to them. It's amazing how much support you get from a partner when you just ask. And so many of us are quick to criticize or quick to say that we don't get the support, but we never reach out, we never ask. Whether it's an Aspire software, Site One, or a local nursery, these people are pros at what they do. And if the person you're working with isn't a pro, because there are a lot of new people in this industry, I'm sure that someone on their team is a pro and is ready to help you. So give them a shot. Give your partners a shot, your vendors a shot to help you, and trust them. Trust their advice, but you got to first seek their advice to trust it. That one's pretty quick because, there's not too much more there. But overall, you got to trust your partners. Okay, the next and last section here is trust yourself. This one hits home for me because when I was 23 years old, I didn't trust myself at all. I was probably I trusted myself the least of any human being. I was on the lowest. I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself to be successful. I didn't trust myself to make the right decisions. I didn't trust myself with a career choice. And I was just kind of spinning out in life because I didn't commit to anything. I couldn't commit to anything. Because when you don't trust yourself to follow through on anything, what's the point in creating goals and creating dreams if you know you're just going to let yourself down? And, a few things happened that really changed that trajectory for me, changed that path that I was on. And that's a story for another day, honestly. But when I realized I could trust myself and I started to follow through on what I said I was going to do, and really this didn't start to take hold until I was about 25, and I hired a business coach who became, I use business coach as a term, but he became a friend, a mentor, a therapist, a family mediator. Jonathan Goldhill is his name, and he's been a huge part of building who I am today. And he gave me that confidence. Someone from the outside gave me that confidence to trust myself. And every week we would meet, and he would ask me, did I do what I said I was going to do the week before? And yeah, I did, because that's what he told me to do, and I was paying him. So I was going to do the work. And because I did the work, I created this pattern of trust within myself. And when I wrote things down and I did those things every week, every month, every year, I started to build momentum around this idea of trusting yourself. And so fast forward 10, 11 years to today, I have this probably unhealthy amount of trust in my ability to go out and accomplish anything I set my mind to. And I often test this. I test this theory all the time. And it's led to where I'm at today, and why the vision for K&D is so big. We want to be $1 billion company by 2035. We want to impact thousands of people. And there's so much more to this BHAG than I could even begin to share. And a lot of it's actually still being held privately for specific reasons. But I am able to set these massive goals because I've created the momentum over the last 10, 11 years in trusting myself. So if you get anything from today's podcast, take this away. Before you can trust your team, trust your family, trust the next generation, trust your vendors and partners, you got to first trust yourself. Because if you don't trust yourself, no one else will stand a chance. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. The message is trust. And I was reminded reminded of that more than I ever have this week. And it just, as I sat down to record this podcast, it became glaringly obvious that was the topic we were going to talk about. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, let me know, because I'm just sitting here ripping, trying to provide some value and document the process. And we're going to document this entire process every week as we go forward, as we build this amazing company, as we take this industry and raise the bar. And there's so many amazing people out there. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next episode. For now, keep raising the bar. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.